get to bring you your elementary lesson again this week. So first, if you haven't yet, click the link below me. You can listen to the Lifeway lesson, listen to the Bible story, print off the activity page and the family conversation guide that you guys can go through together. And then come back up and listen to me and we can talk about the story we just watched. So I'll pause while you do that. Okay, now that you're back, we can talk about the story we just watched, which was Samson. And we are back in the Old Testament again this week in the book of Judges. And last week we learned about how Gideon was a judge over Israel, and we got to watch him choose to again obey God again and again and trust and follow him as he went into battle. And now this week we get to learn about another judge that came a few years after Gideon, and his name is Samson. And he came forth at a time when Israel again fell away from following the Lord, and so the Lord handed them over to their enemies, the Philistines. God brought Samson forward to rescue Israel and point them back to God. So what do we know about Samson already? I'm sure you guys have some answers. I wish I could hear you shouting them. So I have a picture of, here's Samson. And what do we know about him already? I think a few people, you could probably guess that he is very strong. He was crazy strong. So God set him apart. And one of the things he gave him was strength. And so I wore, you can see it, my tiger shirt today as a hint to help remind you of one time in the Bible. It said that Samson was so strong, he ripped I didn't have a lion, but tiger was close to me. So he ripped a lion apart with his bare hands. So he was so strong. And as an example, an outward example of his strength, God said that he couldn't cut his hair. And so that was an outward example to everyone that he was set apart for God and that he was going to choose to follow and walk in God's direction. So long hair and strength is kind of the things that jump up in our brain when we think about Samson. So I have an example, a fun thing that you guys can try out this week that we can prove that we might be as strong as Samson. Probably not. So we have a piece of paper, and usually you can just rip paper real easy. Paper's not that thick and we can rip it. So this, if you do with paper, it ends up being super strong and you can't rip it. So you fold it 5 times. So I'm going to fold it once, twice, fold it again, 3. You're going to see you can see who's stronger in your family, you or your parents, or anyone can rip it. So we fold it 5 times, it gets real small. And then the strength, let's see, can we rip that page? No. So you have to see if you're stronger than me and can rip it. Even if I unfold it to just 4 times, I still can't rip it. So we'll see. So see if you try this at home, if you can rip this paper. And so this is a way that we can remember that Samson was super strong. Even though Samson was set apart by God to rescue Israel, and he still had to continue to choose and follow and obey God. And sometimes in his life, he did that. And at the end of his life, he was in captivity of the Philistines, and he had become weak because they had cut his hair, and he turned back to God and prayed and cried out to God to help him again to be strong and to defeat the Philistines. And so he called out to God, and God was there, and God never left him throughout his whole life. And he gave him the strength to push the temple pillars, and everything crashed down and crushing him and the Philistines. And so that was an example of how he chose to turn back to God and cry out to him. But many times in his life, he chose to do his own thing and to get caught up in his emotions and paying people back for what they had done wrong to him. And so we have another example of this when he chose to not to obey and follow God. is when there was a time with the Philistines that he got cheated at, and he had told a riddle to this group of men, and they had gone behind his back and found out the answer from the lady he was going to marry, and he got cheated, and he decided to go back and answer them with anger and revenge. And he was so mad, and he took these torches and burned their fields to the ground. And so while we can see that Samson was set apart to do God's work, he still had to make a choice time and time again that if he was going to follow God and obey and trust him, or if he was going to choose to go his own sinful way and pay back people for doing wrong, or attacking people who were coming against him. And so he's such a great example for us right now in our lives, that we have an active role in how we can choose to turn towards God and follow and obey and trust him with our choices and our actions. Or we, again, too, like Samson, can choose our own sinful way and pay people back, or go shout back with anger. And I think it's also a great example that all throughout Samson's life, that as he made some good choices and he made some bad choices, God was always with him, and he was always able to turn back to God, and God answered him and helped him along the way. So, which is a great reassurance and example to us that we can always go back to God and ask for forgiveness, and he loves us, and he is ready for us to choose to obey and follow him. So I wanted to go over some examples of some choices that would be good examples of choices we can make in our life. And so our first one is pray. So a great choice over when you have a circumstance you might not know what to do, you can pray and talk to God. And another choice is talk with a parent. So if there is a circumstance that you are not sure exactly what to do, or you have a question about something you are reading in the Bible, or something you have learned at church, it's always great to have great conversations with your parents. They would love to discuss God and the Bible with you, and help you understand things that you are not sure on. And then another would be reading your Bible, reading God's true word. We can hear from God as we read through his Bible and learn his words, and store up verses in our hearts, so that when we are in a situation where we're trying to choose what to do, a Bible verse will pop right into our brain, and we can help us make good, obedient choices, and show God again and again how much we love him. And so the last one I have on here is learn at church. I think it's so valuable to come to church and learn and listen to the teachers that are teaching and the pastors, and we can be in our Bible and learn more about God and worship God and pray to God at church. So that would be a great choice to make. Okay, so I wanted to go through a couple examples of maybe some kids who have some tough choices that they can make, and you can either give them a big thumbs up or thumbs down if the choice that they're making is not a great one. So get your thumbs ready. Okay, Jason. So Jason gets angry when his brother breaks his favorite toy, and so Jason plans to get even. So what do we think? What do we want to give Jason for his choice making? What do we think? I'm thinking a big thumbs down. We don't want to go try and get even. Okay, Carrie. Carrie lies to her parents when they ask about her grades. What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? You're right, thumbs down. We always want to be truthful with our parents and with anyone around us, even if it's going to make a tough situation like poor grades. Okay, Logan forgives Alan when Alan pushes him on purpose. What do we want to give Logan? A big thumbs up. You're right. Forgiveness. We get to forgive Logan, or Logan forgives Alan. Okay. Here's Abby. Abby says unkind things about Lauren to other people. What do we want to give Abby? You're right. Big thumbs down. We do not want to be talking about other people behind their backs, especially unkind things. Okay, Megan tells the truth about disobeying her parents, even though she knows she will be punished. Give her a big thumbs up, right? So a thumbs down about disobeying her parents, but it is always the best to go and tell the truth when you mess up, and you can tell the truth to your parents, and you can always go to God and ask for forgiveness when you end up making a poor choice. Okay, our last one. Jordan is trying to listen to her teacher while the other kids are talking and laughing. That is a tough one and hard to do when the people around you are all loud. So we want to give Jordan a big thumbs up. She did a great job trying to listen to her teacher and stay on track even when the people around you are trying to distract you and get you off track. Okay, so that takes us to the end. The end of our examples. And so I hope we learned that we can take Samson's story as a great example for all of us right now, and how we can choose again and again to follow, obey, and trust God with our choices and our actions. And that when we do mess up, we can go back and turn back to God and ask for forgiveness and make a different choice going forward about going back to God and learning and obeying and trusting and loving Him. So thanks for listening. I can't wait to see you next week. I hope you have a great week. Bye.